The worst generation made One Piece way more hype than it already was. Yeah, I know, we had the warlords carrying the story before the supernovas were revealed, and Garp just revealed the pirate emperors of the new world. Heck, we even had Oda bring a man in the sky with lightning powers who called himself God, and a new faction of the world government called CP9, with the strongest agent being a leopard. But the worst generation was different, reaching Sabao Odi, the island where we saw a bunch of bubbles, and having Shaki reveal there are 9 other pirates with a bounty over 100 million was insane. It was super cool, and even Kid having a bigger bounty than Luffy, regardless of the reason. We all know Oda highlighted the Kid was actually killing innocent civilians, unlike Luffy. It still brought anticipation to what these dudes will do. Now, if I'm being honest, most of them end up being letdowns, but Oda did have favorites of the 11 supernovas and Blackbeard, who rounded off the worst generation. As Eustass, Kid, and Law would beat Big Mom, a Yonko, earning a 3 billion berry bounty, and Zoro would scar Kaido in his hybrid form, and Gear 5 Luffy would defeat Kaido, earning himself also a 3 billion bounty and the Yonko title, alongside Teach, who pretty much did most of his damage pre-time skip, taking Whitebeard's Devil Fruit, defeating Ace, defeating Marco during the time skip. So today we do a deep dive on the strongest to weakest of the worst generation. Subscribe to the channel, I don't care about likes, and join the Noti gang. Now, number 1 used to be a no-brainer, but recently it's actually not much of a no-brainer as we think. Yes, it's the Yonko Blackbeard, the Emperor Blackbeard. Now, the reason why I do think there's some contention to Blackbeard being number 1 is because he's not the only emperor a part of the worst generation. There's actually 2 worst generation members that are emperors, but I'm gonna choose Blackbeard because he was an emperor first before the other worst generation member who actually became an emperor. I'm talking about Monkey D. Luffy, obviously, but yeah, I'm gonna put Blackbeard number 1 because he has the Yami Yami no Mi, and when he fought Ace and took away his Devil Fruit, he was able to almost break Ace's neck with 1 blow. That's powerful from Blackbeard. Secondly, Blackbeard before no Devil Fruit was actually supposed to be the 2nd Division commander. We see him next to Marco and Jozu as pretty much the monsters of the young generation of the Whitebeard pirates back in the days. We know that he had these claw attacks, that he scarred Shanks while Shanks was on guard, and there's a theory that Roxy's Beck might live in his body. So there's a lot to go for Blackbeard, if I'm being honest here. He got Whitebeard's Devil Fruit, the Gurgur no Mi, which was super cool. I know a lot of people look at moments like Magellan one-shotting him or running away from Akainu as like very bad PR for Blackbeard, but if I'm being completely honest, guys, he defeated Marco over the time skip. He got Aokiji to join under him, and if I'm being honest, Shanks is looking for him for a reason, yo. Blackbeard is doing amazing things. Just recently, he took out Boa Hancock, and of course, he blocked an attack from the Seraphim, the Mihawk Seraphim, with his arm and haki. That same Seraphim was able to take a piece of Amazon Lily off. They're pretty powerful. They all have haki confirmed. So yeah, I think Marshall D. Teach is underrated. He defeated Law, and Law just came off a win against Big Mom, awakened his Devil Fruit. His haki got stronger. This was confirmed in Egghead Island. So yeah, the fact that he defeated Law with only half his crew, Blackbeard deserves more respect than he actually gets. He most likely will have Kankosaki coding, but of course it hasn't been confirmed just yet. It's like one of those Garp cases where we all knew Garp had it, but we had to wait for it. That's the same thing for Blackbeard. But if I'm being honest, if he doesn't have Kankosaki coding, he would not be number 1 on my list. That's the big thing. If he has Kankosaki coding, he's a guarantee number 1. But if he doesn't have it, I would have to move him down to 2. But I'm assuming, guys, because Blackbeard, he is the son of Roxy Zebek, guys. Come on, you better give it to Moda. Next on my list is Monkey D. Luffy, who in my opinion probably is going to be one very, very soon. It's the final saga. Monkey D. Luffy just came off a win against the strongest creature alive, Kaido, and Wano really put him above the rest of worst generation members. I think before Wano, he was relative to the worst generation other than Blackbeard, but Wano really made him closer to Blackbeard and farther from the rest. The reason why I say that is because in Wano, he comes off of getting Future Sight and defeating Katakuri, but in Wano, he learns Advanced Armor Haki. He learns the other layer of Advanced Armor Haki, which can break you from within. He learns, of course, Conqueror's Haki coding. He also learns the awakening of his Devil Fruit Gear 5. He takes down Kaido, the strongest creature alive. Yes, he got a lot of help, but still, that Bajra gun is one of the strongest moves I've seen in the entire One Piece series. Island level, capable of punching through Onigashima. So yeah, Luffy has a lot going for him. And then after Wano, don't forget that Egghead Island, it was kind of confirming how strong Luffy is. Him playing around with Rob Lucci, an awakened Zoan Devil Fruit user that's a part of CP0, and I think strongest CP0 member. And then of course we also have him destroying Kizaru. Yes, Kizaru helped him out with the food, but he's overpowering Kizaru with his shots. Kizaru never touched Gear 5 on that level. Then of course him fighting all the Gores, it was cool and all. I think Luffy and Elbaf is only going to get stronger by controlling his Conqueror's Haki. Scarpa Cabana gave him that tip. I think Luffy has so much potential and he's already so strong. So I think 1 is very close, but right now I have to give Luffy 2, and it helps the rivalry too between Luffy and Blackbeard. So I can't wait to see what Oda does with those two. as they are the pretty much the only remaining Captain Worst Generation members. Now, next on my list might be very controversial. If you guys remember me, I made a list back in the days, and I had Zoro pretty far down. Not really far down, but more so in the mid of the Worst Generation. But after Wano, I can't deny, Oda pretty much proved to me that Zoro is one of the strongest Worst Generation. I'm actually going to put him at number 3. And the reason why I put Zoro at number 3 is because of that one skill he has that the rest of the crew of this Worst Generation don't have. And it's the reason why I think Zoro is so strong. It's Kankazaki coding. Yes, in Wano, he gets a new sword, Enma. He pretty much is doing the practical version of Rio, Advanced Armor Haki, but it's not confirmed. Of course, him watching Luffy do Red Rock is like we kind of knew that Zoro didn't have Advanced Armor Haki. But when he scarred Kaido with Ashura and was able to do Kankazaki coding without knowing, and then he did King of Hell mode where he's actually controlling his Conqueror's Haki way better than, of course, when he fought Kaido against King. And then, of course, get it to Elbaf, and he's oozing Conqueror's Haki coding, and he doesn't even know he is. And Luffy is just shocked, and Skyrock Capone's like, yo, you can't be fighting like that. Like, you got to know what you're doing with your Conqueror's Haki. Zoro, to me, what he did to Rob Lucci was insane. An awakened Zoan, of course, he scarred him pretty badly. I think Rob Lucci should have been killed. That just shows you how amazing awakened Zoans are. The fact that he still was alive after Zoro's attack. But yeah, I think Zoro is number 3 on this list. I would put the other guys, the 2 other guys ahead of him if they had Kankazaki coding, which they could get in the future, but because they are Luffy's rivals. But I have to admit, Zoro with that skill puts them at an insane level. It's kind of like that Roger Rayleigh vibe, where Rayleigh is insanely powerful, just like Roger. I'm getting that with, of course, Zoro. Now, next on my list might be very controversial. It's Eustass Captain Kid. Now, in my opinion, I thought Eustass Captain Kid was going to be 3 at the end of Wano. But the reason why I can't give him 3 at the end of Wano, not isn't even his Wano performance, guys. Actually, if I was looking at the Wano performance, I probably would have put Kid at 3 and Law at 4. But the reason why I give Kid 3 right now is because of his Egghead Island performance. I don't see Zoro getting one shot by Shanks the same way that Eustass Kid did with that Divine Departure. That was an insane moment for Eustass Kid character. Now, don't get me wrong, the reason why Eustass Kid is actually number 4 right now and super high on this list is because he did fight Big Mom at 1-on-1 in some moments. He did fight Kaido, of course. He did awaken his Devil Fruit, and that Down Punk was the kind of like semi-finishing blow. Of course, the explosion was a true finishing blow, but still, I think Kid was pretty powerful there. And then his Down Punk, when Shanks saw the future, it was going to take out Shanks' entire fleet. Now, Shanks' fleet is known for being weak, so it's not really that big a surprise, but still, that Down Punk is destructive from Eustass Kid, and I think it's super cool. But if I'm being honest, guys, yeah, he tanked a lot of Big Mom's attacks. Yeah, he got a 3 billion berry bounty after Wano. But the way he got one-shotted by Shanks, it's hard for me to put him above Zoro because I just know that Zoro blocked Kaido and Big Mom's attack for a split second. And he broke all his bones in his body, and he was still fighting after that. He still scarred Kaido after that. Eustass Kid was on the ground, barely alive. Yeah, maybe Divine Departure. People think Divine Departure is stronger than the Ocean Sovereignty, but I still think, Kid, you should have got up. It's like Kozuki Oden when he got up against Roger. That's what made me think Kozuki Oden was incredibly powerful. Kid not getting back up, and having your vice captain had to try to help you too, and still that guy gets knocked out too as well, was insane. Number 4 is Law, this Willa D member. Yes, he's the 3rd Willa D member on this list. Well, number 4, I think I have Law at number 5. Law, to me, arguably has a case to be stronger than Zoro and Kid. But the reason why I didn't put Law above Zoro and Kid is because Law has a lot of stamina issues. Yeah, it's not really the durability more so, it's the stamina issues that really comes to play. And I think, yeah, he has a hack stealth. If this was pre-time skip, I had Law stronger than Kid and Zoro pre-time skip because the OP no Mi is so broken. But if I'm being honest, post-time skip, after Wano, I could have Law above Zoro, and probably maybe even same as Kid or below Kid. I think after Egghead Island, I might actually put Law above Kid if I was going off just off Egghead Island, what we saw against the Yonko performance, because Law did way better against Blackbeard than he did against the new Kid did against Shanks. But I do think Blackbeard's Conqueror's Haki attack was way stronger than anything Blackbeard threw out against Law. I think Blackbeard and Law was a more grueling battle through Devil Fruits. It was a Devil Fruit battle with the Gurgur no Mi and the Yami Yami no Mi. And of course, Blackbeard stealing Law's Devil Fruit really changed the tides of that battle. But of course, Wano, Law did pretty well on the rooftop. He did well against Big Mom, awaken his Devil Fruit. Law's more of a tactitional fighter. He's a battle IQ guy, so that really helps him. I think Law would actually do better against Shanks than Kid because he's more smarter. He's not going to just jump in like Kid is. But I do think Kid having Conqueror's Haki and Law not having it gives him more potential to get Conqueror's Haki coding. And for that reason, I'm going to put him below Kid. Because Conqueror's Haki, to me, Kaido said it in the Wano arc, yo. It's the biggest fighting skill. He said it when there's only a few people that able to do it when Luffy first did Kankosaki coding advanced Kankosaki, and he also mentioned Haki transcends all. So yeah, Law's Haki got stronger after Wano, but not strong enough in my eyes. It needs to get more stronger. And the final person on this list that I think is incredibly powerful, number 6, is Mad Monk Arouge. There's a reason why Oda hasn't shown him yet. He was able to take down Snack, a top young commander. This is before Wano buffs, guys. This is before even Whole Cake Island buffs of Luffy getting Future Sight. This is even might even been around before Dressrosa buffs of Luffy showing Gear 4th. Yes, Arouge took down a top young commander, and Brule only respected Arouge. Now, of course, we later found out that Eustass Kid also injured top young commander Snack, and that's why Snack got demoted. It was just a time after time, but still, Arouge did it in a fashion where Cracker had to come and actually take care of Mad Monk. But in my opinion, this guy has a cool Devil Fruit concept, the Karma Fruit, whatever it's called. It's a cool concept. He's from Sky Islands, Burger probably has something to do with NL. And I think the fact that we haven't seen him yet, Oda is saving him for some greatness in Elbaf's Heaven Realm, or even after Elbaf in the final war. So I think Arouge is incredibly powerful. We do know he might have some ties to, of course, the Void Sentry because of his special race. So I think Arouge is a cool character. I think 6 is a safe spot for Arouge. Like, why not put him at 6? Now, 7 is a guy who actually fought Arouge pre-time skip in their first introductions. I'm talking about Killer. Killer is a vice captain to captain Worst Generation member, so we already know he's incredibly powerful. If someone puts the vice captain on the same group as your captain, like Zoro, Luffy, Killer, Kid, we already know he's incredibly powerful. He did impressive on the rooftop. My favorite one was when he actually attacked Kaido with that supersonic attack. That was insane. Getting through Kaido's scales. I loved that from Killer. I think Killer to me also impressed me by defeating Beijo Hawkins with the whole Eustass Kid being injured every time he attacks Hawkins. Like, the fact that he did that with his tactician cutting Hawkins' arm, knowing that Kid doesn't have an arm. I think Eustass Kid has a really strong vice captain, and he tried to save Kid when it was all said and done against Shanks, so I gotta give him that too as well. And he was being reasonable to Kid, saying, yeah, you lost an arm last time and you didn't even get to see Shanks. Like, Killer is very grounded, and I think 7 is a safe spot for him. I think Killer has potential to go up higher. He has those rivalry with Zoro too as well. They fought in the beginning of Wano, but he did say he was nerfed. He didn't have his actual punishing blades. He was just using the scythe. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Killer, but I have to admit 7 is a safe spot for him. Like, it's not that bad. Now, number 8 is Bonney. I think Bonney really rose my ranking after Egghead Island. Maybe I'm a little biased, but her doing that Nikish future techniques is just insane to me. The fact that she even goes full Gear 5 is insane to me. Yes, her time manipulating of her own body and making her a kid and making her old lady and making other people kids, making old ladies is cool. It's kind of broken, but if I'm being honest here, guys, her real power to me is when she does that Nika Future. That Nika Future attack really made me put her high up on this list. And yeah, maybe I'm overrating her, but still, I think Bonney from Egghead Island is pretty strong. And that's my thoughts on her. Now, next on my list is X-Drake. Now, X-Drake was gonna be above Bonney, but the reason why I don't really have X-Drake super high is maybe because I had higher expectations for X-Drake. He used to be a rear admiral. He pretty much had some insane moments in the Onigashima raid in the beginning, when he did the Excalibur attack with Luffy with the hybrid ancient zone form. I thought X-Drake was a flying 6 member, so he's gonna be pretty cool and pretty powerful. But if I'm being completely honest, his CP0 performance wasn't my favorite. If anything, I overvalued Killer's performance against Hawkins than X-Drake's performance against CP0. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of X-Drake's performance in Wano, but he does have a lot of hype going to him when it comes to his physical abilities in his human form and his Ancient Zone form. So yeah, X-Drake to me, he stopped Killer and Arouge fighting. And the phrase that I put them above X-Drake when he stopped them fighting pre-time skip. If it was pre-time skip, I had X-Drake above them. But after the time skip, I'm going to put them above X-Drake. And I think it's a safe spot for him right here. 10 is Hawkins. The reason why Hawkins is at number 10 is because his powers are so hacks. The fact that you can't kill him because he's using other people is insane. And what he did against Killer, it was a cool concept, using their own captains, their own crew members. That psychological, emotional level is insane. We've seen Hawkins against Zoro, and in the beginning of Wano, it was pretty cool. Law pretty much destroyed him, and Law destroying him made me really look at him like, maybe you're not that guy. And then Killer destroying him after too as well. It's like, okay, yeah, you're not that guy. I did want Hawkins be high on my list, but I think 10, there's not really much to say about Hawkins. Number 10 is a good spot for him. Yeah, he was pre-time skip. He was hyped up to be like a top 5 supernova, and yeah, it wasn't saying much post time skip. Number 11 is Crashman Apoo. Now, surprisingly, you might not even know this, but Scratchman Apoo was one of my favorite supernovas pre-time skip. I just thought it was super cool how he fought Kid early on, and it was super cool how he stuck around to actually do that damage to Kizaru. Of course, Kizaru put himself back together and had no damage, but if he had Haki, maybe he would have did something to Kizaru. But I think Scratchman Apoo also has insane durability in Wano, like taking Eustass Kid's attack and getting back up, taking Zoro's attack and getting back up, doing slashes to Kid and Zoro and Luffy. Like, he does have cool moments, but if I'm being completely honest, he's kind of seen as a joke during Wano. He doesn't really fight a really significant guy. I don't really want to put Scratchman Apoo high up on this list because I can't be biased, yo. Like, you didn't really show me much on which I needed to put you high on this list. Yeah, you have cool moments, but cool moments is not going to put you high on this list, guy. And yeah, Apoo is 11 for me. And last on my list is actually Capone. And if I'm being honest, I really wanted to put Capone above Apoo, Hawkins, and X Drake, but I can't be biased because I actually like Capone's moments in Hoki Island. I like when he goes Big Father mode and he's taking attacks from Big Mom. I love moments like that. Capone, of course, when I'm being completely honest, guys, he has a cool devil fruit, but it seems to me that Oda really wants him to be the weakest of the worst generation. Maybe it's a sign that Don Marlin is probably one of the weakest of the Rocks Pirates, even though he's a founding member. But yeah, I think Capone is a cool concept. Of course, in Zou, when we first seen him and how he fights, and taking out Peckham's behind his back was cool as well. But if I'm being completely honest, like I've been in this entire video, Capone to me is what pretty much solidifies the worst generation as powerful. Having your weakest worst generation as Capone makes like all these guys have legit power when it comes to their strength. And I think Capone might be higher if I see him again, but right now I'm gonna put him at 12. Maybe him being a non-Wano really judged me of how strong he was, because think about this, yo. Everybody else on this list was either shown after Wano or during Wano. Capone's the only one that was only shown before Wano. So like, think about that. He's not been shown in Wano. He's not been shown after Wano in a significant matter.